Look, Rishi Sunak has promised this package of military aid. Considering, let's see, the actions that we're witnessing from Russia overnight, how much does British support actually help President Zelensky?
British support is important. So is American support, German support, Latvian support, Polish support. Uh, Let me explain that. But first of all, on the immediate situation, this is the eighth Russian attack on Kyiv with missiles and drones this month. So the fact that there's an attack, that's not significant. What is notable this morning is what you call exceptional density. That means that the Russians packed in more missiles in a shorter period of time, probably to try to overwhelm the air defenses. Now, why is that important? Because Ukraine has now have Patriot air defense systems, US made Patriots, amongst the most advanced air defense systems in the world, and the Russians are trying to strike them. No evidence so far, by the way, that they have hit one this morning, just speculation. What that means is that on the defensive side of the equation, the aid from Britain, the US, and other countries has been able to check Vladimir Putin's almost last roll of the dice, which is I wasn't able to break Ukraine on the battlefield. I wasn't able to take Kyiv. I haven't been able to advance significantly in the east. I'll try to break their energy. I'll try to break their power stations. I'll try to break their civilian sites. He has failed to do so since last October. And these are really the last blows of a very wounded animal that is, I've got to be honest with you, facing defeat. And just to get back to your initial question, what the UK has not only done has equipped Ukraine to defend itself, but we're now seeing the capability for the Ukrainian counteroffensive that I think is going to happen very, very soon. And that includes, for example, Britain saying for the first time, we're going to give Ukraine long range missiles, uh, the Storm Shadow missiles, which are able to hit Russian targets deep inside Ukraine in occupied territory, oil installations, military bases, supply lines, logistical lines, and indeed those attacks, those shaping attacks, preparing for the counteroffensive, they've already started.
Yeah, and what Zelensky's been asking for, particularly, are jets. He really wants typhoons, which are sort of ones and jets that can bypass Russia's air defences. I think he knows some of those asks are going to be too great. But Zelensky's really on this mission to shore up support, particularly from European allies, so that he can push in the strongest way possible for this counteroffensive. When do you think that might come in its full vigour? And what do you think the chances are of Zelensky having the type of success that he needs?
I think the Zelensky trip is a tip off that we're going to get the counteroffensive sooner rather than later. I mean, we put a lot of stock in fighter jets like the Typhoons. Newsflash, Britain doesn't have that many Typhoons to give Ukraine. So
Mm.
that's not going to be happening. The Americans are still, at least publicly, holding off on providing the F 16s, but Ukraine has received Soviet made MiG 29s from Poland and Slovakia in recent weeks. So they do have some increase in their air capability. But in terms of what Zelensky is doing, first of all, he is squaring up the military aid, which includes armored vehicles, includes tanks, includes logistic vehicles, supply vehicles, everything you need to put a army out after 15 months of war onto the battlefield with renewed vigor. And Germany, one of the countries that he visited, has just announced a package of 2.7 billion euros with dozens of those vehicles that are needed. But he's also doing it on the diplomatic front. You'll know that he went to France to see Mr. Macron. And there probably was a message there, which is this is what we're planning to do. Don't try to preempt this with another diplomatic initiative. We know that Macron, just before the invasion, went to Moscow unsuccessfully.
Mm.
We know that he went to Beijing just a few weeks ago with the idea that maybe we could get to negotiations. And what Zelensky said in both Italy and Germany before he went to France is we're happy to go to negotiations. We're happy for mediation, but only on our terms. And those terms begin with a full Russian withdrawal from the areas that they've seized since February 2022.
If you enjoyed that, there is plenty more. Join me, Rosie Wright, for Early Breakfast on Times Radio, Monday to Friday, 5 till 6 a.m.